order to achieve a low-carbon, sustainable national health service, everyone in the NHS must play a part in reducing carbon emissions. Climate change remains an urgent and serious health challenge. Creating a sustainable NHS will not only aid in providing leadership and mitigation in climate change now, but will also produce greater efficiency savings going forward, essential in the current economic climate. In this programme, we hear the views of Sir Ian McAllister, Chairman of the Carbon Trust, who work with the NHS trusts to help cut energy costs and carbon emissions. We also hear from leading sustainability innovators Essex Heating, Kyocera Meter and Rita ITS, who talk about their solutions designed to help the NHS to reduce its carbon footprint.
I think at the end of the day, in terms of climate change, there are two ways in which it can be dealt with. The first is by legislation, and that is the way most change has started. If you think about safety, for example, it was the health and safety legislation that improved safety. If you think about cars, it was the legislation to put seat belts in cars that started the whole role of safety. But I think the bigger focus, particularly for business, is the demand of the consumer. And what I am seeing in the marketplace is that consumers now are very aware of the whole issue of climate change. You can't turn your television on without seeing a report from somebody at some time about the potential implications of this. And what we are seeing in our research is that consumers believe that companies need to address the issue.
Essex Heating are a progressive and dynamic company operating within the field of mechanical and electrical building services engineering. And we have been established for 35 years, since 1974. And we really like to make a difference by ensuring that we offer high levels of customer service and make sure that we look after the needs of our clients. And we feel that that really gives us the edge over our competitors. We are professionally approved and accredited to such bodies as the NIC, EIC and Gas Safe Register, a member of such government bodies as Construction Line and Exor, which enable us to work for such clients as the NHS. We're able to offer full mechanical and electrical services from design, installation and service and maintenance, and that is something else which gives us the edge, because we are able to offer a total solution to our clients. We can offer design, installation and then follow that up with service and maintenance contracts, and we can offer service and maintenance contracts which then bring us into projects later down the line when the need arises for changes to the use of the building or improvement. The NHS is one of the largest employers in the nation, and they've probably got one of the largest property portfolios in terms of size, which makes them a natural target really for having to meet climate change initiatives set forward by the government. In addition to this, they have to look out for the needs of their clients and the functions that the buildings have got. So in addition to meeting climate change targets, they need to have resources in the premises that are going to enable them to function correctly and still meet that target. We can do this in many ways, both retrospectively and as part of new design and build packages. With regards to retrospective use, we can offer examples such as decentralisation of boiler plant, where some old hospitals had large boiler plants which were generating a lot of wasted heat, a lot of heat that went up the chimney, wasn't used. We can decentralise those boiler houses, put smaller plant rooms in various areas of the building, more energy efficient, and in addition to that they're more controllable for changes in use of the building, different opening hours for surgeries, different ward times. So we can really tailor packages to suit the client's requirements. Essex Heating can enable the clients to reduce their energy bills in a variety of different ways, and have done so for a number of our clients, with both small clinics and large-scale hospital sites. We have attended the premises, carried out a survey of the needs and employed such methods to save energy as reducing the periods that the appliances run, reducing the amount of appliances that run together, and also changing retrospective light fittings which come on when the building's in occupation, control systems for the heating, so that area of the building is only on when there's a need for it to be on, by introducing zone control. And we can drive down the energy bills by cutting down the amount of time that the plant is running for and getting the optimum efficiency from the plant. The services we offer to our clients is backed up by our emergency response from our call out and maintenance sections of the business. We've got 50 engineers that are mobile on the road day in, day out, and that's a 24/7 operation, offering a 2-hour response to emergency call outs to our clients. The advice that we would offer to facilities managers and building managers within the NHS is to contact us so that we can review with them the services that we can offer in assisting them to meet the needs of the health technical memorandum and also cut their energy bills. And we can review this quickly, simply, cheaply, with the minimal amount of disruption to their day-to-day services. And some of the changes that we can offer can be quite small changes to have quite large effects. So it doesn't need to be a long drawn out process with major disruption. It can be minor changes to make quite significant changes to the energy uses of the building. And I'm sure that the service that we offer to them will be of great benefit.
The Carbon Trust, as an organisation, was set up in 2001, and the whole purpose of the Carbon Trust was to help businesses make sense of climate change. And our focus is very, very simple. We look to understand what is happening out there and look at the various technologies that are available in order to mitigate climate change. So we look, for example, at the efficiency of microgeneration with combined heat and power. Is that working? What's the potential for wave power, etc.? That's the first thing we do, and we call that insights. The second thing we do is we have an organisation we call solutions, and this is where we will go into a company, we will look at their carbon footprint, and we will develop with them a plan to reduce it. And if they then implement the program, they will reduce their carbon footprint. In many instances, companies can't afford the investment to do that. So we also offer interest-free loans to the company to enable them to invest and cut their carbon footprint. And then the third thing we do is we provide grants for research and development, for demonstration programs, and we take investments in small companies which are looking at new technologies to bring low carbon energy sources to the marketplace. So in some instances, we actually act as a venture capitalist. And that is also what we do. We invest in these startup companies. We bring private capital to bear. For example, something called Partnerships for Renewables, looking at the energy sources on brownfield sites. We have an investment with a major bank that will provide £100 million of capital to build these low carbon energy sources. And then finally, we build businesses ourselves. We call that innovations. And what we do is, where an opportunity is available but is not being taken up, we will start up a company to seize that opportunity with the expectation of selling it on later and then using the money that we get to reinvest in all the other things that we do. We are a not-for-dividend company. Any profits we make are reinvested in this whole program.
Kyocera Meet as one of the world's leading manufacturers of printers, copiers and the software solutions required to integrate them into the working environment. We're part of Kyocera Corporation, which is a global multinational with interests in numerous different businesses, all centred around their core expertise of ceramic technology. And their products range from solar panels, telecommunications equipment, costume jewellery, kitchen equipment and medical and dental implants. The NHS is one of Europe's largest employers and responsible for a significant percentage of the UK's carbon footprint. And in fact, there are several factors driving the carbon emissions up in the NHS, which is contrary to the government's stated targets for reducing carbon emissions by 80% by 2050. So we feel that by addressing some of the emissions around the office equipment estate, the NHS can help to address its carbon targets. Kyocera is unique in having designed imaging products specifically with the purpose of reducing their environmental impact. The EcoSys design concept, which Kyocera adopted in 1992, aims to achieve the greatest user economy combined with minimum environmental impact. And they've been developing and expanding on that technology since then to develop leading-edge printers and MFPs for application in all types of businesses, particularly public sector businesses with very strong carbon targets to meet. The majority of laser printers on the market today use a composite cartridge which contains everything that's mechanically clever about the printer. And when the toner runs out, you throw all of that away when actually all that you need to replace is the toner. So what Kyocera did with its EcoSys design was to develop long-life components that could be built permanently into the machine and would only have to be replaced either at very long intervals or, in the case of low-volume products, never. And then when the toner runs out, the only thing that you have to replace is a plastic cassette full of toner. So it's intrinsically much less wasteful. And as a result of that, it reduces running costs by typically 50%, and waste by volume can be cut by as much as 90%. Now, although the technology is very different to everybody else's, the way that the products work and integrate into the workplace is exactly the same. They're very compatible, they're very easy to connect onto a network and to manage, and they're also compatible with many of the software applications commonly in use in the NHS today, such as iSoft, InPractice, EMIS and Cerner Millennium. Especially with the carbon reduction commitment coming into force in April 2010, NHS organisations are realising that they must act quickly to drive down their energy consumption, and one of the areas that they're looking at now is their printing and imaging fleet. Most organisations have more imaging devices than they need. They kind of acquire them over time, and rationalising them can be a really easy way of cutting down energy consumption and carbon emissions. Energy Star estimates that it takes 10 times as much energy to manufacture a sheet of paper as it does to print on it. And the digital office has really made no impact on the amount of paper that we're consuming. In fact, it's been reported that the volume of paper being exchanged is actually increasing as a result of digital document exchange. The problem is that paper's become a transient medium, where in the past we would have been printing documents and then storing them and saving hard copies. These days we store most of our documents digitally, but we still print them off to read them. And then we put them in the recycling tray, feeling that by doing that we've completely mitigated the impact of having printed them in the first place, which of course we haven't. So the first challenge is to convince people to print a little less and to think about whether they really need to print the document or whether they can read it on the screen. And by using software solutions to facilitate those processes, we help our customers to reduce their reliance on paper. Of course, there will still be some documents that you need to print, and therefore you need to ensure that you have a solution which reduces the environmental impact of that printing. Through its unique long-life technology, and by making the consumables a much less wasteful system, Kyocera has really addressed at the root the issue of environmental office printing. When Kyocera Corporation was formed 50 years ago, the initial concept was for a business which strived to be commercially successful whilst fulfilling all its obligations in terms of its impact on the wider community, including the environment. And so we've had 50 years now to understand the impacts of our business and the impacts of our products on our customers' businesses. Environmental issues have really hit the top of the agenda now, but we're not jumping on a bandwagon. This isn't something which we're doing because it's fashionable. It's deeply ingrained into the corporate philosophy, and we hope that that shines through in the products and the services that we offer.
The NHS is one of the largest employers in the world too. So there is a tremendous strength there that can be brought to bear by the organisation acting together to deal with the whole issue of climate change. More importantly, or equally importantly I should say, given all the pressures on the NHS and its funding and the costs involved, it makes good business sense to address it as well as dealing with the future of our planet.
Industrial Technology Systems, or ITS as we call ourselves, was formed in 1991. We're an independent solution provider, so we pick the best products from the market to meet the customer's needs. In 2007 we developed, and in 2008 we launched a product called Rita. Rita is an energy and utilities monitoring system. There are a number of systems on the market that do energy monitoring, but Rita does steam, water, gas, air, so it's more the entire utility set. It monitors, records and reports on the information that it gathers. It's a robust recording device. The first thing you need in any control system is to actually have robust, accurate data. Rita provides that as a start point. Once you've got that, you can actually analyse the data that you've got. You can make selections on which are the most important parts of the usage, utility or energy usage that you need to target, and then Rita allows you to monitor the effect of the changes that you make. The NHS is the largest employer in the UK, and the NHS represents something like 3% of all carbon emissions in the UK for the public sector. So it's a key target for a product such as Rita. We have targets within the NHS to reduce energy usage by around about 50% by 2050. From April 2010, there's a new scheme being introduced by the government for carbon reduction. The NHS and other large energy users will need to buy carbon credits. If they exceed their carbon credit limit, they'll be given penalties. If they reduce their carbon footprint, reduce their energy usage, they'll be given bonuses. One of the key features of Rita is that we've tried to make the front end, the user interface, as simple to operate as we can. We've used it so that it provides the information that it provides in a graphical sense. So you can see graphs of the usage of data. You can see a traffic light system that if it's green, everything is okay. If it's amber, that means it needs some investigation. And if it's red, it means you've gone over the limit that you were set for either that day, that week or that month. From a simple user interface, you can see an entire department. You can see an individual machine. You can see the hourly usage, the weekly usage and the monthly usage. You can compare a similar device in one department against another to see whether one uses more energy than another, whether one department uses more gas, more water, more steam than another. So you can do comparisons across the same equipment in different departments or different departments within the same facility. The key part of the interface is that it's graphical. So what you see is pictures. So you can actually have a picture of the department, the hospital, the machine, with the data actually displayed on the picture. So it's very easy for people to identify what the energy usage is with the specific piece of equipment that's actually being used. It can be set to your specific requirements, and the colour coding just makes the whole thing easier for the people who actually use it. And we wanted to make the interface as easy as we could because the people who use it are busy. They don't have time to sit and analyse. What they want is a fairly simple display that says, this is fine, this needs looking at, this is something you need to do something about. The second thing we did with the product was to make it modular. So you can buy a single system to monitor one piece of equipment and then build slowly to the point where the entire department or hospital is covered. So there's no major capital outlay in order to get started, to see that the fact that the system is effective, that it does what you need it to do. And the system monitors the information continuously. All of the time it is gathering information, whether that be every minute, every 5 minutes, every 5 seconds. But it gathers the information all the time. So if there is an effect, if a limit is breached, you can go back and actually identify which piece of equipment, which piece of which piece of plant, which piece of which department actually made the breach, and analyse what it was that did that and rectify that problem. You can do a number of analysis with Rita, one of which is actually to find out whether you're being overcharged by your supplier of electricity. Systems that we've installed have actually shown that people are occasionally. But the main thing is that once you've got the information, you've got real-time data that you can use, you can target those elements that are likely to give you the biggest savings. You can make the change and then monitor the effect of the change. That's the main purpose of Rita, is to reduce your costs. The key part is that the energy usage and the utilities usage within the NHS is big. It's massive. So even a small saving, even a small percentage saving of their energy usage or utilities usage has a significant impact on cost. The system is designed to be low cost entry, so you can start with something small that covers a whole department, all of the electricity usage in the department, and identify which departments use most energy, and then get more and more detail on the equipment in that department once you actually know which are the biggest users. It's simple to get into, it's easy to use, it's robust, and I think it's there now to be taken advantage of.
We hope this programme has been a valuable resource for NHS trusts in their mission to reduce energy costs and carbon emissions. I'm Georgina Burnett and you've been watching Solutions for a Sustainable Health Environment.